it'll just be me. Just kidding! Wow! 3, 2, 1.
We're the Atkinsons. Hello,
Yay!
everyone.
Thanks for tuning in again. If it's your first time with the Atkinsons, we're married. This is my wonderful husband.
This is my wonderful wife.
And today, what are we talking
We're
about?
talking about service.
We are talking about service. And to begin that, what did we do today?
We had our first time having service for our church.
Yes, so
That
when...
made no sense.
No, I think it made sense. When we, not having service, but
It was
being
our first
a part
time
of
serving
on a
Serving.
serve team with a church.
in our church.
In, semantics. So, it was our first time.
Mhm.
And we've been going to this church for maybe about almost going to be a
Almost
year
a year.
now. So, we had to choose this church when we first got married, we were looking for churches in our neighborhood and in our area so that we could serve in our community. But we were having a hard time. But we finally found a church that we love and that we serve in. So, we started off just doing like the service events that they had. We went to different events like drives and stuff like that, but then we decided, okay, now we're ready to be on a team. We really are in this church. We got baptized here. We love what it stands for. Now we really want to get involved and know more about our community. So that's what we got to do today. I served with the kids at elementary age, and you served.
I did production, so I was behind the camera for the first time. That was a ton of fun, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was scary, but a lot of fun.
And for me, I love kids, but I realized that I'm very much so a baby toddler kind of person. I worked with the elementary, so it was like the range of
Rough
ages
age.
was very different. I think it was very challenging for me. A lot of times I found myself just gravitating towards the more timid children and being able to talk to them versus like the children who could, I don't know, it was just hard. There were just so many different types of kids. So I feel like I was just very, very much so challenged in how to connect with them, how to keep them engaged. And I think a lot of times like I was getting in my head a little bit, but what I had to understand as well, like this is an opportunity for me to be able to share the Lord with them and, love on them, talk to them, teach them in a way that shows that they're loved and that they're cared for, and who knows what they get in their classrooms at school. So it really was a blessing. And honestly, seeing young children love the Lord or talk about God or pray was a really emotional experience. Like at one point, one of the children were just praying, and it literally, I like brought tears to my eyes. I got so emotional because it's like children are so pure and so open, and they don't care what they sound like when they're praying. And it's like I feel like sometimes as adults we get in our heads about every word that we say or like how we move, how we dress, every little thing, but it's really not about that. It's just about being genuine, being pure, and giving everything you can in that moment. So yeah, that was a really, 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 really cool thing that we got to do this morning.
And sometimes that's the best kind of service, is when you're stretched a little bit in your comfort. Like, for example, with production, I have no production experience at all. We don't even own like a point and shoot camera.
Yeah, exactly.
So to get behind the camera for the first time, to learn these new concepts that I've never, ever even have an inkling of knowledge about, I found that to be really cool, and it was really exciting for me. And I think that's one part that I think service can bring that I think people don't realize, is that sometimes service can seem like a very boring task. Like it's like we have to do it. Where service can be a wealth of knowledge. Like you can really learn things through service, not only about yourself but about other people.
It's important.
So that was really fun for me. Is I was able to be out of my comfort zone. I was around creative people, which I'm not. I wouldn't consider myself creative. I'm more of a numbers person, more black and white. Whereas I was around people who were like with computers
all
and
the time,
designing.
design, graphics.
So yeah, that was a really big deal for me.
That was really big for both of us, and I feel as though he brought up a really good point. It's like today was his first day in productions, and he was already the one shooting the live of what people are seeing on YouTube if they can't make it to service. Like someone trusted him to be able to do that task and not mess it up. Just like today, they gave me a script and stuff that I had to do with the kids. I had never done it before in this capacity, and they're like, all right, you'll be able to do this, okay? And just like they trusted that I would be capable enough to do that. And sometimes that's just what you got to do instead of, you know, trying to do, in order to encourage others and lift them up, give them that sort of like push. Like sometimes people just need a little push, like, you got this, I know you got this, but I'm right here if you don't. So just your reminder that you got this, and that do something that challenges you and puts you out of your comfort zone. It'll teach you a lot about yourself. I felt like working with elementary school age children really taught me a lot about myself and made me think about a lot of things. I think what we really want to focus on in this video is how you can serve others in the small ways, like how you can just be a servant, not only a servant leader, but just a servant as an individual. How can you serve those around you, even people that you don't know? And it starts with the little things. So for example, Bjorn and I, in our marriage, we serve each other in the littlest of ways. Even though it might be simple, it goes a long way. An example that I could give is I have to be at work in the morning at 6:30 a.m. So Bjorn has to be at work at 8. And sometimes I work the weekends, and he doesn't work the weekends. So let's say it's a Saturday morning or whatever day of the week that it is that I'm working. Bjorn will wake up in the morning with me. If I wake up at 4:30 or 5, he'll be up, he'll wake up, he'll go downstairs, he'll make me breakfast, he'll pack my lunch, he'll get all of those little things ready. So that way when I'm finished getting ready, I can just come downstairs, my lunch is packed, my breakfast is on the table, and we're able to share those few minutes in the morning together talking to each other. When it's time for me to leave, he'll grab my shoes from our little shoe rack, and he'll put my shoes in front of me that I'm gonna wear for work, and then he'll carry my bag all the way with me to the car, give me a big hug and kiss before I leave, and tell me, hey, I'll be right here when you get back. And for me, that makes going to work so much better, because one, it's hard having to leave him and not being able to spend all day with him every day. I wish that I could do that, but he makes it easier by supporting me in the task, by being with me, waking up early with me, and encouraging me and telling me, hey, today's gonna be a good day. And if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, or I'm just not, ready to go to work or whatever it may be, he'll write me a little note and put it in my lunchbox. And those are little ways that you can serve people. Little things that we do in our house is like when we brush our teeth, we'll always like put the toothpaste for each other. If he brushes his teeth before me, he'll like leave my toothbrush with the toothpaste for me to go in and brush. So it's like little ways that you can just serve those around you. How can you serve strangers? Like, what are some ways that you can just be a servant to a stranger?
I think in one way, at least from like a work capacity, I think a really good one is having a conversation with somebody that you may not have had a conversation with before, and asking questions that are not very surface level. Like at work, for example, I'll ask somebody, hey, how are you doing? But they can tell by the tone of my voice that I don't mean, how are you doing? I'm fine. It's, how are you doing? And sometimes they'll say, I'm really tired, or there's something going on in my family. Like one of my coworkers expressed that one of her family members got sick. So doing that is in a way serving another person, because you're allowing them to open up, and you're being an ear for somebody that may not have an ear, in another capacity. Sometimes people just need to feel heard, and I think that is a way that's not very it's not it doesn't cost a lot of time. It's just being very intentional with your conversation. I think that's a really good way to start with that heart for service for another person, is just sitting down with them and asking, hey, how are you doing? How's your family doing? Et cetera, et cetera.
And I feel like you touched on a really important part, because you talked about the heart. It's your heart posture. Serving and being part of a service group or a service team isn't just when you're a part of the service group or the service team. You should be a servant at all times in your own home. Like, how do you serve the people that you live with? How do you serve when you're in the grocery store? If you see somebody looking for something, are you looking for this? Oh, I saw that in the other aisle. Like, how can you just make someone's day a little bit easier, a little bit better. What do you feel service does for the individual?
Wow. Well, I think one thing that has allowed me in college and even now is allowing me to draw closer to people. I feel like I'm not a people person. I'm not somebody who I'm a people person, but I just don't gravitate to like I can't just sit down with somebody and just have a talk, you know? Like, you have that gift. I don't have that gift. I'm more of a introverted person. But breaking down those barriers has allowed me to really get to know people in a way that I've never been able to know someone. Some of the best service that I've ever done for people is what you just mentioned, was where the cameras aren't shown, where I don't have a t-shirt on with a group name and I'm representing a cause. It's really just taking the time out of my day to realize there's a need and I can meet that need in some capacity. Very small, you know? I think one thing that you do very well is you do a very good job of complimenting, very good job of complimenting people. And I think that is in a way a big way of service, right? Like we just went to a wedding yesterday and Sika saw a lady with her hair done and Sika was like, wow, I love the way that she did her hair. And she went and spoke to that person and said, hey, I really like your hair. And the way that her body language, the way that her face lit up to hear that, wow, somebody acknowledges the way that my hair looks, right? She took a lot of time to do her hair. And you acknowledging that in many ways was enacting a Jesus-like act. Like you taking the time out of your day to acknowledge her, to respect the work that she put into her hair, and to in many ways acknowledge that she's seen in her effort. I feel like that was amazing to see her body language kind of get up there. So good job.
Thank you, baby.
But that's how it, you know, and that's the person that's a way of answering your question, right? Like how can we personally, how does it affect us personally? It's those interactions I think that have the most effect.
Yeah.
You know?
I really like that a lot. Another way that I feel that it can affect you as the individual is it reveals a lot of things that might be going on in your head and your own insecurities.
That's a good one.
I know that, for example, even today when I was serving with the children, they're just children. It's their children. Like there's nothing that I shouldn't feel insecure in front of them. Like I should just be able to be myself. But in certain times, I just felt very insecure. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, this person is so good with them. Like they have all the right words. They know exactly what to say. And it made me feel a little bit insecure myself. It's like, oh my goodness, I need to learn how to be able to interact with them better, and those little cute phrases that get them to focus or whatever it may be. But then I had to remind myself, okay, my confidence comes from the Lord. This person is great in what they do, and that's awesome. I don't have to compare myself, but I can do what I can do in my capacity. So I saw a little boy just kind of shy in his corner, and I got to squat next to him and talk to him and get him dancing and laughing. And it's like, it's okay if I might not be able to command this entire room of a million kids, but I can talk to this one kid and get him engaged. So I think it reveals a lot of things inside of your heart, and sometimes serving really does push you. It pushes you in different ways, and I think that's why it's important to do it. And although, like Bjorn said, you're not representing an entire group, you are representing what is in your heart and who you serve ultimately. So I think being able to show Jesus to people in little ways is so important and so essential. And I think in our marriage it brings us closer. For me today, I finished serving before Bjorn, and so going over to him to wait on him and see what he was up to, seeing him just serving and talking to other people and picking up and cleaning and doing whatever was very attractive to me. I was like, ooh, wow, it's very attractive. I think it draws you together as a couple because you get to come back and talk about the experiences that you were able to have and share with each other. And I think it sets a great example for those around you. If you're naturally just, doing other things for other people, the people around you are going to start thinking, hey, I can also do that for that person. I can also pick up. And like, I think we are going to challenge you with, think about those people in your life that are always doing something for you or is always doing something for someone else. Think about what you can do for them. How can you just make this person relax a little bit and you can make their life a little bit easier? For example, our aunt came and stayed with us for about like 3-4 days this week. This lady, I always tell her to rest, and she just comes to our house and just wants to do everything. Like, the house will be clean, but you'll find something that she can clean, something that she can cook, something that she can fix, something that she can do. That's her love language, serving others. And it's like, we love it, we appreciate it, and we'll never stop her from serving us. But it's also to like, how can I just help you to relax a little bit? Hey, how about you sit down? I'm gonna cook for you. I'm gonna do this for you. I'm going to compliment you, and I'm also going to affirm you that I see everything that you're doing and that you always do. And our lives are way more blessed because of you. You've impacted us so much. So maybe think about those kind of people that you have in your life. Maybe family members, maybe friends who are just always the ones who are on go doing something for others. How can you be there for them this week? How can you encourage them? How can you show love to them? Even when you don't want to. And the thing is about serving others, it's selfless. It's not about you. It's about really putting others before yourself. And it's that humility that comes along with it, because today was a very long day for both of us. I mean, it was a long day serving, and we were exhausted because we've had a really exhausting week. But at the end of the day, it's a privilege to be able to serve others, be with people, connect, learn. I learned so much today. So that's a really challenge that we wanna leave for you all. How can you serve others in your daily life? How can you be kind?
And ultimately, I think what we're really trying to hone in here is that it's about shifting your paradigm of what service is.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a grandiose thing. It doesn't have to be something that's it doesn't have to be monetary. It definitely doesn't have to be monetary. And where to start, right? Like, start in your home. Start with those that you live with. If you live with your family or your mom or your dad, if you live with your siblings, whoever you live with, your spouse, especially. Even if just start.
Your neighbor, how can you serve your neighbor?
How can you serve your neighbor?
We'll often bring food over to our neighbor.
Your community, right? Your close community, right? Those who live right next to you. How can you serve them?
You don't know them, strangers.
So it's all about what you can provide. It has not about how you provide monetary, compensation or anything like that. It's being very intentional with the service that you do. I think a great place to start is work. Like, for example, I'm in a patient interacting role, right? I'm not in front of people, but I do speak to people on the phone. And when they're stressed, when they're upset, I exhibit Jesus through listening to their problems, trying to find a solution for them, assuring them, telling them, hey, I'm not going to let you go until I figure this out. Okay, I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to get this. Trust me that I'm going to try and do this for you, okay? And if we hang up, I'll call you back. Right? Don't think that I'm just going to let you go. So in doing that, I'm able to, again, it's not monetary. I don't get paid extra for that at work. But I think that really is a way that I can walk away from work knowing that I did my part in being of service to people. And that can be in any capacity that you do, no matter what your job is. There is a way to serve others starting at where you work. So super important. I think people think that service is being a part of a group, like a large commercial group, but you really can do it without. And it takes. I love the saying, like it costs $0 to be kind. It costs $0 to do these kind of things. And if one of us did it, I think the world would be a much different place. If we really consistently went for it,
out having a servant heart, just being servants. Yeah.
Really, was intentional about saying, what can I do today to serve someone? Doesn't have to be anybody that I know. Doesn't have to be anybody that I will probably ever see again. But how can I serve someone today? by doing X, Y, and Z.
By doing X, Y, and Z. And I think he brought up some really great points, and I'll just mention this too. In my job, for example, you don't get paid extra for being bilingual, for speaking another language. And oftentimes, a lot of my coworkers will like complain, like, oh, man, they always give me only the Spanish speakers, and it's just so much like having to translate and this and that, and like they'll be so frustrated and they'll be so upset. They're like, oh, I don't get paid extra for this, people would say. And even for me, the other day, I had a orientee, so somebody that I'm training. I love her, and she's great. And we had a busy day, our assignment was heavy, whatever it may be, but they always call me to come translate in Creole. And sometimes I'm like, oh, like I get kind of nervous because the medical terms are really hard. I don't know, I can speak Creole to communicate, but the medical terms and all the jargon, and sometimes it just will be really deep stuff it's hard to translate because it's very emotional because of the setting in which I work. And so the other day they call me and they're like, hi, Sika, and they already knew, like, they always call me, so I'm like, ugh, in my head, I'm like, I know that you're gonna call me to translate. And I really didn't want to, if I'm being honest, because I'm like, man, our day is so busy, I'm doing so much, we finally got to sit, I really don't want to have to translate for this family. And I had to check myself. I'm like, you know what, Sika, these people could use the interpretation machine thing that we have, they can use that, but how much better would it be for me to be able to go and sit and talk to this family, give them comfort, whatever it may be, right? And so I'm like, okay, I'll come over. I go over to the family. It was a Haitian family, and their baby was doing better because I had translated for them weeks prior. And all of a sudden had a really large decline and isn't doing well anymore, maxed out on, all respiratory settings, just not doing really well. And I saw them from the last time, their energy was a lot higher, and this time obviously much lower. And it was just the mother at the bedside this time, and she sees me, she smiles because she sees me, and I say, oh, hi, so nice to see you again. Anyway, I go on to translate what the doctor wanted to say and what the nurse wanted to tell the mom, and then I'm going back and forth, and the mom just breaks down crying, and then I was able to just go up to her and like hug her and comfort her in her native language and tell her, hey, we're here, we're doing as much as we can for your baby. And then her response was interesting. She goes, I was like, because the doctor was like, oh, is there anything that you wanted to tell us? And she's like, no, like there's no other questions that I have to ask. I know that my God is great, and I know that I can pray. And I translated that to the doctor, and then the doctor goes, tell her that we're praying for her too. And the nurse goes, yeah, tell her that I'm praying for her too. And it was just such a beautiful moment, because usually in hospital settings, everything is very, it's scientific. This is what's going on. This is this, and this. And we're doing what we can. Thanks. But the fact that this woman was able to share in this really hard time in her life that she can still have hope. She can still have faith, even though the science is saying this baby isn't, the science isn't looking good for this child. She still had the hope and the determination and the faith to hold on and still pray to her God, to pray to the God, the one God. And so that was just really impactful. And when they left, I was able to stay with her and hug her and tell her, what, I'm praying for her. I care for her. We all love her. We love you. And what can we do for you? Can I get you some water? That's not in my job description, to go get people water, to, they can go grab it themselves. But it's like, how can I just do the extra mile and serve her and give her the comfort that she might need? How can I just hold her a little tighter so that she knows, hey, like, I care about you. You're not alone. I know this is scary. You don't understand any of the million things that your baby is on right now. You don't understand any of that, but that's okay, because we are here. We'll explain it as much as you need. So it's like going the extra mile and out of the way for people, and doing it with a happy heart and not being selfish about it. I was feeling selfish about my time, about I have all these other things to do. We did a chart. We have to do this. I have to teach her this. But it's like, wait, pause, take a moment. You have the opportunity to be there for someone else. And it was nice because I got to share tears with her. Like, we got to, cry together. And sometimes that's what people need. That in itself is just service. Being able to be there for someone, look them in the eye and say, hey, I'm here with you, and we see you and we're praying for you. So the next time you feel, oh, I don't want to do this because it's gonna put me in a bad place, think about the other person. What are they going through? This lady her baby's so sick. I'm just sad because I might have to leave work a little later. Like, it's okay. So
perspective.
Put yourself on the back burner, change the paradigm of your mind, and think about how you can be of service to someone else this week.
So, challenge to you.
And always, not just this week.
Not just this week, but always. So, again, it starts day by day.
Day by day.
1 week by 1 week, eventually service becomes a little easier. And eventually you just have the capacity to say, hey, let me see what I can do here to help in this situation. So
exactly.
So yeah. So if you got anything from the video, I hope that you found that in your heart. Challenge yourself this week. Tomorrow, if whatever day you're watching this, to go out and serve someone. Text somebody you haven't heard.
Text someone. It can be virtual.
In a long time,
It can be virtual.
Check in on somebody. Say something happened to somebody that's a big deal. Check in on them. See how they're doing. That goes a long way. So.
It goes a very, 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 very long way. And just one more thing to add about serving. Yes, it is the little things, but what's great about getting involved in an organized group is the accountability that comes with it. Because I signed up to serve, I have to be here. So do the little things, but also try and get involved in a group, whether it's your church, an organization, whatever that you're a part of. Try and do it to some capacity because it keeps you accountable, and it challenges you. Okay, and you get to connect with others, which is also really important. If you all have anything else that you would like to add and what service means to you, you can drop that down below in the comments. And
like the video if you want.
Yeah, like the video, subscribe.
And that's it. All right, we love you.
Bye.
Bye.